नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from chapter 7 entitled Knowledge of the Absolute, text 19. Bahunam janmanam ante Jnanavam mam prapatyate Vasudeva sarvam iti Samahatma sudullabha. Word to word meaning: Bahunam, many; Janmanam, repeated births and deaths; Ante, after; Jnanavan, one who is in full knowledge; Mam, onto me; Prapatyate, surrenders; Vasudevaha, the personality of Godhead; Krishna, Sarvam, everything; Iti, thus; Saha, that; Mahatma, great soul; Surdullabha, very rare to see. Purport and translation. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Purport. The living entity, while executing devotional service or transcendental rituals, after many births, may actually become situated in transcendental pure knowledge that Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of spiritual realization. In the beginning of spiritual realization, while one is trying to give up one's attachment to materialism, there is some leaning towards impersonalism. But when one is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in the spiritual life and that these activities constitute devotional service. Realizing this, he becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders to Him. At such a time, one can understand that Lord Sri Krishna's mercy is everything and that He is the cause of all causes and that this material manifestation is not independent from Him. He realizes the material world to be perverted reflection of the spiritual variegatedness and realizes that in everything there is a relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Thus he thinks of everything in relation to Vasudeva or Sri Krishna. Such a universal vision of Vasudeva precipitates one's full surrender to Supreme Lord Sri Krishna as the highest goal. Such surrendered great souls are very rare. This verse is very nicely explained in the 3rd chapter, verses 14 and 15 of Sveteshwara Upanishad. Sahasra Sirasha Purusha, Sahasraksha Sahasra Pat, Sabhumin Vishvato Vrita, Tya Tistyad Dasangulam, Purusha Evadam Sarvam, Yad Bhutam Yakcha Bhavyam, Utam Mrita Vyashe Sano, Yad Anni Na Tiro Hati. Lord Vishnu has thousands of heads, thousands of eyes, and thousands of feet. And entirely and comprising the whole universe, He still extends beyond it by 10 fingers' breadth. He is in the fact this entire universe. He is all that was and all that will be. He is the Lord of immortality, and all of that is nourished by food. In Chandogya Upanishad 5.1.15, it is said, Navai vacho na chakshumi na stotrani na manam site akshate prana iti evakshate prano hi evatani sarvani bhavanti. In the body of a living being, neither the power to speak, nor the power to see, nor the power to hear, nor the power to think is the prime factor. It is the life air which is the center of all activities. Similarly, Lord Vasudeva, or the personality of Godhead Lord Sri Krishna, is the prime entity in everything. And because Vasudeva is all-pervading and everything is Vasudeva, the devotee surrenders in full knowledge. And Prabhupada also gives the Bhagavad Gita reference 7.17 and 11.40. So we'll read the translation for 7.17. Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. And 11.40, which is the universal form of the Lord. Here Arjuna is speaking. Obeisances to you from the front, from behind, and from all sides. O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all-pervading, and thus you are everything. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Shri Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I offer my respectful obeisances to all the devotees assembled. Although I don't have any qualification, it's just for my purification as well as for me to understand the depth of Krishna consciousness so I can go deeper in my Krishna consciousness. I have taken this service. I also thank for giving me this opportunity so that, it helps me so much. Today we are reading from the Knowledge of the Absolute. This is the 7th chapter and this is the beginning of the Bhakti Yoga. So we see the Bhagavad Gita. It is sandwiched between first 6 chapters of the Karma Yoga and middle 6 chapters with the Bhakti Yoga and the last 6 chapters with the Jnana Yoga. So, and finally Krishna is also calling one to surrender. That is the final instruction of Krishna to Arjuna. In this particular verse, we will be going, I divided the class into two parts. One is the pure devotee's situation and the other part is the Krishna's personality. So we will see some insights into a pure devotee's situation and Krishna's personality. So first of all, it is said, after many births, one who is in actual knowledge, they understand Krishna is the cause of all causes, and then with that understanding, they actually surrender to Krishna. And then he becomes the rare soul, because such a soul is very rare because he is having a complete understanding that Krishna is the cause of all causes. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about how a living entity initially is engaged in devotional service or transcendental rituals, and after many births, he is coming to a transcendental platform and understanding the ultimate goal is to surrender to Krishna. And then Prabhupada also explains how did they start off. So they begin with giving up some materialism, materialistic activities. But still they have some inclination towards impersonal tendencies. But then, although they have impersonal tendencies, something is clicking in them, that they are much more than the body. Then the aspects of the soul is clicking in them. But still, because they don't know who is God, they don't have an understanding of Krishna, so they still have their tendencies of the impersonal leaning over towards. And then when they come in touch with the devotional service, and definitely that's through the contact of the devotees, they start performing devotional service. And gradually, by the activities of this devotional service, they perform pure devotional service, which will allow them to get attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then they surrender to Him. And at that time, when they surrender, at that time they are able to see everything in relation to Krishna. So this is actually, they see everything as Krishna's mercy. And they see everything dependent on the Lord, Krishna Himself. So the process, the devotional process itself, it broadens up someone's thinking. They will be initially what they are not able to see. Over a period of time, with the activities of the devotional service, the purification is taking place. And then the same thing, Prabhupada is referring to the 11.40. Where Arjuna is telling, after seeing the universal form, he is actually offering obeisances to the Lord and understanding that everything is resting on Him. And I listened to Chaitanya Charan Prabhu in this particular topic, and then Prabhu was giving one nice explanation of Jnanavan. So Jnanavan is the one who is enriched with the knowledge. What kind of knowledge? The knowledge of the absolute truth, that Krishna is the Supreme Bhagavan. And they understand that Vasudeva is everything. And then they're able to surrender. And when we see in the 7.14, Daiviyesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durataya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. So in the 7.14, Krishna is saying that if someone wants to escape this material modes of influence, material modes of material nature, their influence, they have to be surrendering onto me, prapadyante. And then in the text 15, Krishna talks about the people who don't surrender to Him. And in the text 16, we see Krishna says there are four kinds of pious people who actually come and surrender to Krishna. So they are Artha, Athati, Jignasu and Jnani. There are four people. And then here we see instead of Prapadyante, Krishna says that Bhajante. So they all four, they are coming towards Krishna and they started to worship. So this is the beginning. So they haven't surrendered yet completely, but they started the process of the worship. But just being in the devotional service itself, they will be able to come to the complete surrender. And we see the example of Arti is Dhruva Maharaj, and Artati is the Gajendra. No, I mixed up. Sorry, Arti is... Yeah, Arthati is Gajendra and Jnani is Sukadeva Goswami and Jignasu is Sonaka Muni Rishis. So we see all of them, they started in a different way, but because they are attached to the devotional service and because they were attracted towards Krishna, they all become Jnanavan. But Krishna here says that the best of all is the Jnani because he is searching for the absolute truths. And then we also see in the Bhagavad Gita 7.7, where Krishna talks about, O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls strung on a thread. So Krishna is already declaring here, saying that everything is resting upon me. So this is the actual understanding of the Gyanavan. He understands, okay, how the pearls are strung in the thread. Like the pearls are coming together because it has the basis of this thread. Similarly, everything is together in this material world is actually because there is a reflection of the spiritual world, and everything is coming from Krishna. Everything is resting from Krishna. And then in the 7.8 purport, Prabhupada talks about, practically speaking, there is no conflict between impersonal and personal aspect of the Lord. It is just, the both are inclusive in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. And Prabhupada is talking about how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced this Achancha Bheda Bheda Tattva. For our right understanding that there is no impersonal or personal, but everything is coming and it's part of the Lord, and there is nothing beyond it. So, and we also see in the Bhagavatam 2.936, which is the last shloka of the Chatushloki, where Krishna is telling to Brahma, Etavam eva jignasya tattva jignasu atmanam anvaya vyatireka yat syat sarvata sarvada. So he's talking about a person who is searching, this Jnani, whoever is searching after the Supreme Absolute Truth, the Supreme Lord, most certainly will search up to this point, up to which point, to come to the point of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Anvayam. Anvayam means directly, Vyatirekabyam, indirectly, and whatever the state, sarvatra, in all space and time, and sarvada, in all circumstances. So here, this Jnani is endeavoring to find out who is this. And we see in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also talks about the yogi who is not successful. What happens to him? Then either he takes birth in the aristocratic family and then he takes up the devotional service, or if he has the material desires, he goes and he enjoys in the heavenly planets, and then slowly he comes back to the devotional service. So here again, the basis of this yogi is also he's in the process. But this is happening after so many births. So everyone is searching for the self-realization by different ways. Prabhupada explains this in the second 2.936 purport. Someone through the Karma Yoga, someone through Jnana Yoga, someone through Jnana Yoga, someone through Bhakti Yoga. But the goal of all the life is explained, is searching for this Supreme Absolute Truth. And then Prabhupada says that to engage in self-realization is the responsibility of the developed consciousness of the living entity. And this is the main aspect, why we have to be engaged in the devotional service, first of all. Because we have a developed consciousness. And then what does Krishna approve for it? Krishna says that Eka Dvi Tri Chatos Pado Bahupadas Tattvapada Bhavyam Santi Pura Shrishtas Tasya Me Paurushi Priya. In this world, there are many kinds of bodies. Some with one leg, some with two, some with three, some with four, and some with more, and some with none. But Krishna is more attracted to this human form, and he says that this is actually very dear to me. Why? Because this is the only form which facilitates one to go back to Godhead. So that's why Krishna is emphasizing here that this person, this particular Jnanavan is very, very dear to me. He is very, very rare. Because there are so many kinds of bodies available, and they are taking repeated births and deaths in this material world. But still they are not coming to me. But this person is very rare and he is very dear to me because he is coming towards me. He is surrendering to me and he is understanding who I am. And then how is the Jnani? Just we have seen in the 2.936. He is doing directly or indirectly, he is searching for the Supreme Absolute Truth. So here Prabhupada gives an example of, if we want to look for a particular phone number, so we have to go to an authorized telephone directory and look for that particular phone number. Then we will get it. Or you're looking for a particular product. Then you have to go to that specific store to find that product. Similarly, if you want to know where this pure devotional service is there, then we have to come to the authorized scriptures through the authorized parampara system. And Prabhupada quotes from Srila Jiva Goswami saying that just by mental speculation or whimsically someone is speculating, they wouldn't be able to come to the Lord. They need a source that they will be able to come towards the Lord. And we see in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna again says, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. In the 9.2, he uses a word, Pratyaksha Avagamanam. When someone is situated in this transcendental knowledge and applies this knowledge, what happens? Pratyaksha Avagamanam. They can see the results very directly. And that is coming into action. So if we engage in devotional service, we can perceive the results directly, right? And Prabhupada says, not just by hearing itself, if one is engaged even in broadcasting this transcendental knowledge, they will also spiritually progress gradually. So the spiritual progress is simultaneously. One is by Shravanam and Kirtanam, and second is by preaching, which is also the Shravanam and Kirtanam. And we were talking about how we have to understand that this devotional service, which is very close to Krishna, very dear to Krishna, we have to come through the authorized sources. So how is this possible? By coming in association of the pure devotees. And who is this pure devotee for us? Is our spiritual masters. So because why? Because he trains us in the devotional service. And he teaches us the intricacies of the Vedic knowledge, how to approach the Supreme Lord. And what is his role? His role is like a parent. Say, without attentive care of the parents, the child cannot grow. Similarly, if the spiritual master, we don't have the care of the spiritual master, we wouldn't be able to get trained in the Vedic scriptures. Because there's so many Vedic scriptures and it's a vast variety. And we don't know. And Krishna says, when someone approaches, when someone comes to this bona fide spiritual master, they have to understand this bona fide spiritual master is very, very dear to me. And one should never disrespect him, and one should never envy him, thinking him as an ordinary person. And how does this spiritual master engages us? He engages us he engages our senses in the devotional service. Ata Sri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriya sevan mukho hi jivadu swayam eva spruhat adha. Although one cannot understand the devotional service by the material senses, but just by engaging them in the devotional service, they get purified, they become transcendental. And by doing so, the Lord himself get revealed. And so here is the pure devotional service. And Krishna is saying that after many, many births, one comes to that point. So where we are at the stage in between. We are not completely performing pure devotional service, but we are on the path of the pure devotional service. So maybe we are not Jnanavan yet, but we have all chances to become Jnanavan. And how does this can happen? Again, the same emphasis is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 24:104. Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhakti Tira Swabhava Yetina Sabha Chadaya Kare Krishna Bhava. Association of a devotee, mercy of the Krishna, and nature of devotional service will help us to give up all undesirable association and gradually attain the elevation of the platform of love of Godhead. So, why? Because by these three aspects, we actually understand the danger of this material repeated birth and death, which ordinarily we don't understand. Like, if we go outside and we speak that you are caught up in the cycle of birth and death, there hardly no one pays attention. It is only because we have the spiritual master, we have the association of the devotees, we have the Krishna Kripa, and we have the bona fide scriptures. Today we are trying to understand, okay, there is this repeated cycle of birth and death, and we are caught up into it. And also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he tells another verse, Krishna Kripa sadhu sange rati buddhi paya sada chadi suddha bhakti kare Krishna paya. By the mercy of Krishna and association of devotee, one increases attraction to and intelligence for the pure devotional service. And therefore one gives up everything and engages himself at the lotus feet of Krishna and his pure devotees. So we see this is the importance of the pure devotional service. What Krishna here specifically is mentioning is that one who performs pure devotional service understands, he becomes the Jnanavan and he comes and surrenders to me. This is one aspect. Another aspect today I want to talk about is Krishna's patience, the personality. So the very first two words of this verse, Bahunam Janmanam. So he's saying, after many births and deaths. So what is Krishna saying? After many births and deaths means he is patiently waiting there. You know, people can wait for us for few seconds, few minutes, few hours, few days, few weeks, few years. But who is that person who is waiting for us for birth after birth? And you know, birth and death, the cycle is going on and on and on, and he's waiting. And he's not taking credit that I am waiting, but he's appreciating that, oh, this person has turned towards me after so many births and deaths, so he's very dear to me. See, this is his personality. And Krishna also says in 726, right, that Vedaham samititani vartamani cha Arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu veda nakaschan. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. So it is not that Krishna doesn't know that this person will turn to me only at this point. He knows. He knows about the living entities past, he knows about the present, he knows about the future. But still he is waiting. Maybe it will take for someone to come after thousands or millions of lifetimes after. But Krishna is waiting for him very patiently. And he's saying, the living entities doesn't know me. Why? Because they're deluded by the modes of nature. But the moment they turn towards me, they will understand me. And I was thinking of an example of Lord's mercy and his personality to glorify this aspect. I want to take a pastime from the Canto 9, where this is a pastime happened between Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa. So we see the character of Ambarisha. Sukadeva Goswami is glorifying Ambarish Maharaj. Why? He is the most fortunate person, even in the material terms. Even in the material terms, he is a ruler of the 7 islands. He had unlimited opulence. He is the conqueror of all the opulence on the earth. He has many chariots. The opulence in his home is very beautifully described in Canto 9. But he sees everything is very temporary, as if it's a dream. And he's completely engaged in the devotional service with all his senses and performing his prescribed duties as a king. Because this is a service to the Lord. And what did the Lord do? Okay, Ambarish is so much focused in the devotional service and he's not thinking about his self-defense. So let me take care of him. So he gives him the disc of the Sudarshan Chakra to him. And Prabhupada writes in the purport saying that even if the devotee he's not very expert in self-defense, the Lord personally takes care of him. And then we know how the pastime goes. Ambarish Maharaj was performing the Ekadashi Vrat for 1 year, and in the Kartik time he finished his Ekadashi Vrat, and then he's about to break his fast. And then the Durvasa Muni comes. And Durvasa Muni comes and Ambarish receives him very nicely, and he gives all the offering, and he makes him sit. And then Durvasa says, okay, I will go to Yamuna, take a bath, and then come and honor the prasad. So Durvasa goes to the Yamuna, and he goes into meditation on the impersonal Brahman. So that itself shows that he's an impersonalist. And then here the time is the parent time is going away for Ambarish to break his fast. So he is not sure, and with the consultation with the Brahmanas, he takes a little sip of water. So it is considered to be broken, at the same time not to be broken. But then Durvasa, he understands, he actually broke his promise towards me. And he comes back, and in his anger, he actually creates a demon from his hair, and he tries to attack Ambarish Maharaj. And here is Ambarish, he is so equipoised, he is not at all afraid, and he is standing there. And then Sudarshan notices, someone is coming to attack this pure devotee. And then he kills the demon, and he is going after the Durvasa Muni. And what is Durvasa? Durvasa, although he is a great yogi, but he is afraid of his life. And seeing Sudarshan was chasing him, he goes to Brahma, he goes to Shiva, he gets no help, and then he goes to Vishnu in the Vaikuntha. And he speaks to Lord Narayan, please help me. Lord Narayan says, no, I can't help you. Why? Because you offended my devotee. I cannot do anything. You have to go to my devotee and ask. I am completely bounded by my devotee. And here Krishna says, Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tve aham madanya te na janati naham tebhyo manang api. The devotees are always in my heart. I am always in the heart of the devotees. And the devotees does not know anything beyond me, and I also cannot forget that devotee. So this is the relationship the Lord carries for his devotee. And then, so one may ask, Durvasa is, although he might have committed an offense, but he's still surrendering to the Lord. And Krishna says in 1866, right, Sarva dharma parijjacha mamekam sharanam raja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami masuchaha. So sarva papa. And what kind of papa? It's not just the sin. We see there are 4 different kinds of sins. Pataka is just a preliminary sin. Then there is Urupataka, very great sin. Mahapataka, greater sin. And Atipataka, topmost sin. When someone surrenders to Krishna, he will take away all kinds of sins. Not just the preliminary, but even the Atipataka sins. But why is Narayana or Krishna is refusing to protect him from Sudarshan? Because it is not what we see as protection here. Actually, Narayana is protecting him, but at the same time, he wants to make him understand what is his pure devotee like. The glories of the devotional service and the glories of the pure devotee. He gives a hint to Durvasa. You have committed a sin because of the self-envy. Why are you self-envious? You are envious of my devotee, that's why you are not able to recognize him. So you go back and ask him forgiveness. If he forgives, then everything will be resolved. So Durvasa takes the hint and he goes back to Ambarish, and he asks for forgiveness from Ambarish. And Ambarish actually prays to the Sudarshan Lord. And they're beautiful prayers of the glorifying Sudarshan Chakra. And then Sudarshan Chakra withdraws. And then Durvasa, he becomes satisfied. And not only satisfied, he gets realization. The glory of the devotional service and the glory of the pure devotee. Although the Lord himself could have stopped the Sudarshan Chakra just to glorify this kind of Mahatma, who is very, very rare. He wanted to glorify this devotee, and he wants to glorify the devotional service of such devotee. He personally didn't take that charge. And what did Durvasa say? Durvasa told to Ambarish, I was trying to cause you harm, but you, out of your goodwill, you were actually praying for me. And this is the glory of the devotee. And now I'm going into the higher planetary systems and glorify you as well as the pure devotional service. So just coming in contact with the devotees here, what is happening? There is a change of heart in Durvasa Muni, who is an impersonalist. Now he is able to appreciate the devotional service. So service to Vaishnava, it gradually accumulates and becomes our asset. Similarly, if we do any harmful activities towards them, it becomes a cause of our fall down. And Krishna also says to Uddhava that with the dust of my lotus feet, my devotees' lotus feet, I desire to purify the material worlds which are situated within me. Thus I always follow the footsteps of my pure devotees who are free from my personal desire, wrapped in thought of my pastimes, peaceful without any feelings of enmity and of equal disposition everywhere. He is glorifying the devotees. Even in the 7.19, Krishna is doing the same thing. He is glorifying. He is not seeing the thing he is coming after so many lifetimes after. But he is saying that he is surrendering to me. So what Krishna is also pointing out is towards the Kevala Bhakti. There are three kinds of bhakti here. One is a Kevala Bhakti, which is pure devotional service, where there is no other motivations, Anyabhilashita Sunyam. And the second type of the bhakti is Pradhana Bhuta Bhakti, where bhakti is primary, but they also have mixed tendencies of karma, jnana and yoga. So that we see in the four kinds of the Sukritinos. And then the third type is Guni Bhuta Bhakti, where bhakti is secondary, and but the main aspect is to get something out of it, like the karmis and jnanis and yogis. But what is Krishna directing us? He is glorifying this particular devotee, glorifying that you have to come to this stage. Now, we can say that, okay, this sounds very nice, but what is our situation? Or, like, maybe if I don't become a Jnanavan, what if I don't realize or understand everything in relation to Krishna, then what is my situation? In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila 2.2, in the purport, Prabhupada talks about the soul can be solaced only by the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his many bona fide devotees who never leave the lotus feet of the Lord to become imitation Mahaprabhus, but they all cling to his lotus feet like bees that never leave a honey-soaked lotus flower. So Prabhupada is saying that the soul can be solaced only by the mercy of the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his bona fide devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya's movement of Krishna consciousness is full of dancing and singing about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. It is compared here to the pure waters of Ganges, which are full of lotus flowers. The enjoyers of the lotus flowers are the pure devotees who are like the bees and swans. They chant like the flowing of the Ganges, the river of celestial kingdom. The author desires such sweetly flowing waves to cover his tongue. He humbly compares himself to materialistic persons who always engage in dry talk from which they derive no satisfaction. if they were to use their dry tongues to chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, as exemplified by Lord Chaitanya, they would taste sweet nectar and enjoy life. So in conclusion, we just want to wrap up what we have seen. So the pure devotee, we have seen two aspects of this verse. One is the pure devotee, how he is a Jnanavan and he comes to the absolute, searching to the absolute truth, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And Krishna wants us to look in the right place for the proper guidance. That is through the bona fide spiritual master and through the bona fide scriptures and through the process of devotional service. And then we have seen the personality, the Krishna's personality, how he is patiently waiting for us, for a soul to turn towards him, and how he glorifies his devotee and the pure devotional service. And the only solace in this material world and for us is to take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the holy names, so that we will also be able to come to this Kevala Bhakti, the pure devotional service. If there are any questions, comments or corrections, please forgive me for any of my shortcomings. Anything? Yes. Sorry. Yes, Prabhu. Yes. 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 Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes. Anything else? Yes. Yes.
But we don't practice. This is the modes of material nature, they are putting us in different directions. But if we forget modes of direction, let's say, and we concentrate on chanting, then we will not think about anything bad about anyone. We think, okay, this was good. This and this incident happened to me, but that time I was little agitated. But then I thought, Krishna is in his heart, why should I hate him?
Yeah.
So this quality should come to us, that why should I hate, why should I have enmity with him?
Right.
Whatever happened during that time, the Muslim nature, the modes of ignorance and Rajaguna and Tamuna, and they forced me to that. And after that, when you come out, then you come inside, then you get the understanding that whatever I am doing is bad for it. Because Krishna is the heart of it.
Yeah.
Not only human being, but he's in the heart of every living entity. When I see some Muslim sitting here, I like to hate him, but when I see Krishna in the heart, I just see that how he goes away. I don't get him. So So the quality is, when we hear from someone, then we have to practice also.
Yes.
Just like you said, Prabhupada said, Nityam Bhagavatam Seva. So Nityam Bhagavatam Seva, whatever we are hearing, we should try to practice. And whatever we hear from Prabhupada, hearing is very important. Sometimes if you are in Mangalarti, Tulsi Arti, you will see today or yesterday appointed to Sanatan. I say, you see what he is speaking. Arti is speaking the Arti, but the pronunciation sometimes is not correct. When the pronunciation is not correct, because we are here, we can understand what is. But when it goes on radio or FM or anywhere, then they will say what they are speaking, they cannot get if you are not doing the pronunciation properly. So when you are in the language, you have to see. If I am giving you to speak Arti, then you should speak in a proper way. You shouldn't change, twist the words or twist something. This is very important. But we overlook to that one. If Janardhan Maharaj was here, he used to stop the person, Baba, you are doing something wrong. So someone should be there who can correct the persons. This is not fault finding. If you say this is fault finding, there is no fault finding. Prabhupada said, if you speak truth, there is no harm.
Yes.
If you call a thief is nothing harm. But if you say no, thief is not, he is not a thief, he is okay, he came to do something and you cooperate with him, that is not right. So we have to see the correct thing, what is correct, we have to do those things.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anything else? Sorry, Prabhu. Like in the Bhagavatam, it says that he was meditating on the impersonal Brahman. So, although he knows Lord Narayana, maybe his heart wasn't changed before this episode, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, and he goes to Vaikuntha even. How can an impersonalist go to the Vaikuntha? Yeah. Yeah.
That proves that he actually meets the person.
Yeah, and he's also the incarnation of Shiva, right? Yeah, Dattatreya is Vishnu and Soma is Brahma. So yeah, Durvasa is the incarnation of Shiva. So, they have mixed personalities and maybe, I don't know much. Yeah, but what I read in the Bhagavatam, that he was actually meditating on the impersonal Brahman when he went to the Yamuna. But even I was also thinking, how can he go to the Vaikuntha? But I think it is just to facilitate, at least my understanding is to facilitate the glory of the Ambarish Maharaj and his pure devotion. Yeah.
Maybe he was meditating, but he may not be believing that Vishnu is impersonal.
Yeah.
Meditating on impersonal aspect of it.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Thank you, bro. Anything else? Thank you so much.